Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to give you a power-packed information if you are really an IELTS aspirant. So what is that? Actually, I'm going to discuss two things here. So in this video, you can expect a good book recommendation if you are really serious in preparing for the IELTS. As well as I'm going to give you a power-packed podcast series which is very helpful in the preparation of the IELTS for both academic as well as general. Okay, without further delay, let's get started. First, let's get into the book recommendation. The first book that I would recommend you very clearly is the official Cambridge Guide to the IELTS. This book actually clearly explains the methods for reading, writing, listening, everything is clearly explained. And one important tip here, this is officially released by the exam body of the IELTS. So you can completely trust this book and you can use this to identify, to read, to understand the methods, and you can practice by your own. The second book which I would strongly recommend is More Metrics Test Preparation for IELTS. Again, the books which I am referring to you is all international books. It is not Indian books. Hence, you can trust the international authors to give more valuable information. So, this book is one of such book which actually consists of power-packed information which is very, very informative. As well as you can use this book to read, understand the method and strategies. Next, all the series of the IELTS book. Here I have mentioned IELTS 15. Starting from IELTS 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 up to 17 you have the IELTS both for academic as well as general. This is a book where you can find mock test for reading, listening, speaking and writing. So actually in this book, actually for each section you have two mock tests. So it is up to you if you want to go and prepare for the mock test, especially for the students who are appearing for the paper-based test. I really prefer you to purchase this book either from the Amazon and you can practice by your own. Again, the next book which I am going to refer you is that Simon Braveman Target Band 7. If you are really looking for Band 7, here Simon is giving you excellent techniques which you can actually really use in the exam. The last but not least, it Barron's IELTS Super Pack. As the name mentioned, it is the super packed information. It consists of all the 4 modules and you can really understand it very easily. So, if you are really in a self-study mode to clear the IELTS, I strongly recommend you to purchase these books, invest in these books and learn the methods and strategies that would be helpful for reading, listening, writing as well as speaking. However, in the speaking and the writing, I would strongly recommend you to go for a mentor and really understand the feedback because feedbacks are very important in the productive skill. In the receptive skill, of course, you can use all these books to find out wonderful methods and practice by your own. Let's move on to the podcast for IELTS. See, there is one section called as listening section in the IELTS. So, for the listening section, again, you need to listen a lot. Instead of listening to movies or instead of listening to some other fictional podcast, you can listen to the podcast where actually the IELTS information is heavily packed. Here, I have 5 such podcasts for you. First thing, All Ears English Podcast. This podcast is not only speaking about the IELTS but about the general English. So if you're really interested, it actually has a series of podcasts where you have the native speaker's accent or the native speaker's vocabulary list, idioms, everything is given here. So if you get free time, of course, please listen to this podcast if you are preparing for the IELTS. The second podcast which I would recommend is IELTS Made Easier. This podcast is specifically for the IELTS. So all the things which is for the writing, reading, speaking and listening, everything is explained in this podcast. Of course, it is a series of podcasts, so you can just listen to the podcast whichever you feel convenient or you feel you need more inputs on that. You can just click on to this podcast and listen to it easily. The third thing is called as the IELTS Speaking for Success. This is one of my favorite podcasts where I will get a lot of input from the speaking because speaking is something which is very interesting, quite you need to consistently improve. So if you are really looking for band 7 plus and above, I strongly recommend you to go on into this IELTS Speaking Podcast for Success which would really help you a plethora of information. Activate your IELTS podcast, which is again an IELTS podcast, quite interesting. So all the information, all the modules in the IELTS which is covered in this. So if you are really interested, please go ahead and listen to this podcast. The last Indian podcast which I would suggest you is that Magoosh IELTS. See, Magoosh is also a IELTS trainer where they are actually releasing this IELTS. However, I really quite like, because all the tutors are excellent in informing the students, or whether they are giving the inputs to the students. Their work is quite amazing and I strongly recommend you to go on with it. That's what we came to an end of this video. Though it is a very short and crisp video, however, I want my students to give a plenty of inputs to read by themselves and to get clear the IELTS. However, if you need practice, please don't hesitate to visit www.samielts.in. Also, you can WhatsApp to 90431 40844. Also, we are planning to release a new podcast soon. So, if you are really interested in cracking the IELTS and developing your English, either for the professional development or for the personal development, please go ahead and visit there. Thank you for listening. If you really like this video, like, share and subscribe to my video. Thank you.